This debate took place on 18th of April 2013 at Broadmoor Baptist Church, Shreveport, Louisiana, between Frank Turek and David Silverman. Please, as always, watch the whole debate and then research the claims and points made by both participants and myself, and only then make up your mind. I wanted to bring you my opinion of a couple of points here. The first, to put it bluntly, is Frank Turek lying.
Look it up where? You give me a reference that where we've explained the naturalistic origin of DNA, and I will admit to everyone that you are right. You find me a reference.
Richard Dawkins, River out of Eden.
He's explained DNA.
Richard Dawkins, River out of Eden.
You get me the reference. Richard Dawkins is saying that aliens brought life here because he knew.
He did not say that.
Yes, he did. See the movie Expelled.
Now, understand that Frank Turek is not some copy and paste Christian commentator on YouTube, and he is not some theological Twitter twatter. He is an experienced debater who researches that which he presents. He knows what Dawkins said. He knows the context in which Dawkins said it. Expelled was released in 2008, and the complaints about its deceit and interview manipulation began before its release. So Frank has had at least 5 years to keep up to date with Dawkins' views on the subject. He will, I'm almost certain, have seen Richard Dawkins' explanation of his involvement in Expelled. The movie was big news on the apologist circuit, and Frank surely cannot have failed to see the reaction from such as Dawkins, P.Z. Myers, Michael Shermer and Eugenie Scott. I'll let Richard Dawkins explain it.
And when he asked me that question, something like, could you ever imagine any kind of intelligent design, I bent over backwards to try to give intelligent design its best shot. I don't believe in that, I didn't believe in that, I never said I did believe in that, but I was trying to bend over backwards to give intelligent design its best shot.
So there is Frank Turek, in my opinion, knowingly lying for Jesus. Now, what about some dirty tricks? Here we will see Frank's willingness to dehumanize another person to make a cheap point. Whether you are a theist, deist or atheist, I hope you will recognize that the callous-hearted person is a rarity in our lives. Imagine for a moment you're out in town and visibly upset. A stranger asks you if you're okay. You say, "Oh, I'm okay, I just had to have my cat put down, that's all." How many people do you think would look at you and say, "Tough, it happens, get over it," regardless of their beliefs or non-beliefs or whether they even liked cats? I hope that we would agree that you could expect a response that showed some compassion. So let's watch this.
Sometimes babies die. Sometimes loved ones die. And sometimes there's no silver lining. Sometimes it's all bad. That's what a tragedy is. There is no solace of your baby is with heaven, with Jesus in heaven. None of that exists. With atheism, it's just a matter of I'm here for you.
You would agree with most of that, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, that's what, I mean, if you're an atheist, what do you say to somebody if your baby dies of cancer? Tough.
Tough. Do you actually think that Frank believes what he just said? Or is he lying about the reaction he could expect to try to defend an absurd position concerning morality without God?
Frank, and we've kind of dealt with this, but if this is the question, if you want to go to it in a little more detail, if God is all powerful...
Really rude, man.
I hope you heard David Silverman say, "That was real rude, man," because it was. Is this the level that Christians are prepared to stoop to make a point? I want to move on to absurdity and invention.
He is all-powerful, and he hasn't removed evil yet, but he will. Actually, he won't remove it. He'll quarantine it. That's exactly what hell is. In hell, you'll have free will.
In hell, you will have free will. I hope that you understand what Frank is saying here by omission. He is saying that in heaven you will not have free will. In the perfect heaven that God has prepared for us, we will not have free will. You might then ask why God did not simply create earth without free will. Earth would then be heaven, and there would be no necessity for any creature to have ever suffered. Frank can answer that.
What I'm saying is the entrance of evil into the universe was a result of free choice. And the reason we had free choice was because that's the only way we could have love, but this also creates the possibility for evil.
Hang on, Frank. The only way we can have love is if we have free will, but there will be no free will in heaven. So from where will the love in heaven come? Unfortunately, David missed that point each time Frank made it. We move on. Why doesn't God simply remove the evil from the world? If God knows who is going to heaven and knows which souls are headed downstairs and which are headed upstairs, what is he waiting for?
Because some people haven't been born yet, that's why.
But he already has the souls. Why go through this whole exercise?
No, it's not a matter of souls. It's going to be a resurrected physical body ultimately, but that's another thing.
It's going to be a resurrected physical body. A physical body in a non-physical heaven? We all get a new body? Do we get to choose? Oh no, I forgot. No free will in heaven. Of course, Frank doesn't actually address the point at all. Regardless of whether we get a new body or not, doesn't answer why God cannot forgo the pain and suffering and simply move those he knows are going to heaven up there right now, with or without their bodies, and send the rest south for eternity into the fires of hell.
Okay. God does what we would do if we were truly loving. He would leave us alone if we don't want him. And that's
send
what
us
God
to a lake of fire
does.
because he loves us so much.
The lake of fire. These are all metaphors for separation from God.
Oh, wait a second. A metaphor. So Frank uses the literal resurrection of the body, but chooses to believe that the fires of hell are a metaphor. He has nothing upon which to base his declaration apart from his own personal interpretation of the Bible. My frequent flyers will know that I am reading a book on hell from the 1st to the 20th century, which shows how the belief and promotion of hell has evolved as society has evolved.
No.
The lake of fire is very real to some Christians.
Oh, yes, it's real. The question is, what's its physical nature? And that's the question.
A lake of fire.
How can you have outer darkness and fire at the same time?
How can you have outer darkness and fire at the same time? Oh, come on, really, Frank. You already know how to explain away anything which is physically impossible in the real world.